Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for another Street Fighter Duel video. So in this video I want to talk about something that has kind of been raised a little bit by my guild, but not only that, there has been some actual glaring issues with this mode, particularly this event, and pretty much for a while if we're being completely honest, and I'm slightly worried about how they address it, to be completely honest. So, effigy clash. If you guys are aware or unaware, I'd say that this mode has had historical issues, okay? From the get-go, there was issues with matchmaking. They then sorted that out by expanding the, the battle zones and stuff like that. It got better, and then this one was probably worse, if not the same as day one. Every single match my guild had was against the exact same guild. 3 times in a row, we literally fought each fight against the exact same guild, and that was something that was supposed to have been rectified. It was supposed to have been taken care of, and we were told that matchmaking had been sorted, blah blah blah, and it was pretty widespread. It didn't happen to everyone, but it happened to a lot of factions where they just constantly fought the same match over and over. Sometimes that was to the extent of people in the top 10 fighting people in the top 50, and it was just a complete and utter whitewash. I mean, for my faction, it was fair enough. It was the top 1 and 2 that just fought each other constantly, so I guess there's no real complaints there. But in all, when it comes to matchmaking purposes, it's not working as it's supposed to work. Unless it is working as it's supposed to work, and it's actually due to activity and factions being not filled and stuff. If that's the case, it's a slight worry, because you would like to think there's more than one active faction within your range that you could fight against, but if not, I don't really know what that says about kind of the health of the game and stuff. I don't want to really dwell on negatives, to be honest, but it needs to be fixed. Now, one of the other things that was kind of raised by my faction mates, and do you know what, I had never really considered this before, but I mean, I should have considered it before because it's existed since the word go, but I don't know why. For some reason it never really crossed my mind. I'm going to try and beat this level 500 tower again while I'm talking. I may as well do something on camera. So obviously this mode is very boring. No, but it's very structured to be exactly the same every time, right? You fight your bosses, you do that, you then fight against the other guild. Okay, awesome. However, the game doesn't really come down to any sort of a metric like scoring or anything like that, right? It ultimately comes down to when you do the battle phase. Whoever is online first as a group, as long as they've got the power, they will win, right? And what someone who was in my faction raised, and a very good point, for my country, the game refreshes at 8 AM, right? So for other countries in Europe and stuff, that's like 9 AM, 10 AM. Now, for an event that runs both midweek and weekend, what do a lot of people do from 9 o'clock onwards? They work, right? They've got jobs, they work. I mean, especially games like this who actually crave people who have money. People who have money often work. So having a mode that will actively punish you for working is maybe not the best idea in the world. And I was thinking about it and thinking of ways that they could, I don't know, tweak this mode. And for me, I think scoring should be something that's considered, right? Now what I mean by that is, just because someone logs on first and they beat your faction doesn't necessarily mean they had a better performance, okay? What I mean by that is, they could have used, I don't know, 90 attacks to beat your effigy, whereas your faction, despite not all being there on time, may have only taken 50 attacks to beat their effigy. So overall, when you break it down, that would mean that your faction actually performed better than the faction who you lost against. However, because they were more, some people would say, organised, I would kind of argue that fact, because really, if you've just so happened to recruit a bunch of people that are maybe, no shade, unemployed or only work night shift or whatever, I don't necessarily think that should be the driving factor that makes you win the actual guild battle, right? So I think maybe they need to tweak it a little bit and look at how they do that actual event. Maybe don't just completely base it on who's first online, because I've actually heard of people who log in and they don't even really get a chance to do anything because all the Guardians are dead and the effigy's destroyed, and they've maybe logged on at like 9:10, right? It's cool, they get the rewards, but obviously people want to play the game. So if they could rework how the actual mode works, I mean, it's 24 hours. The attack period of fighting other people lasts for 24 hours. Literally nothing happens in that entire 24 hours beyond the first maybe 1 or 2 hours. So maybe if the actual attack period was scored over the 24 hours and things like I've said, like amount of damage done, amount of attacks taken, stuff like that was factored into performance, maybe it would be a more fair mode and people wouldn't feel like, oh crap, I've not logged on at 8 AM, there's no point, because we've already lost. Because that is pretty much how it is right now. I'm not going to beat this stage. So hopefully a suggestion like that, something that could maybe be worked on, change the scoring a little bit, might make things a little bit more interesting for players. The only worry I've got, and this is something that they did last time, with regards to the other issue, which is the matchmaking, last time they expanded the battle zones to fix that. Now that has its own negatives. When they expand the battle zone, it dilutes the reward pool for everything in the game, right? So people will obviously be aware that they may have regularly been able to rank top 50 or whatever. They expanded the battle zones, and then people who used to be able to regularly rank 50 and enjoyed that couldn't, and for a lot of them it made them quit, right? If they expand the battle zones again, that will happen again. And the problem is, when they expand the battle zones, ultimately it means that they pay out less prizes, because let's just say, for example, you've got 10 battle zones, right? I'm just going to use the top 10 as an example. So you've got 10 battle zones, and of those 10 battle zones, you used to have to pay out top prizes to the top 10 in all of those 10 battle zones. After the first merger, that dropped down to 5 battle zones. But what they didn't do was they didn't up the rewards on the remaining 5 battle zones. Those remaining 5 battle zones continued to pay the same type of rewards that were paid when it was the 10 battle zone structure. So if we combine again, and it goes down to, say, 3 battle zones or 2, the chances are they're going to still leave the same prize pool. So people not only will have to work harder to get rewards, they will get the same lower tier rewards that they used to get. So if the only way to fix effigy is to merge battle zones again, as bad as this sounds, I'd rather be stuck with horrible, not working great effigy, because let's be honest, so many people the last time reacted badly to battle zone mergers. We lost a lot of players, and really I don't want to be in a situation where we lose more players again because of something like that. So if it comes down to it, I'd rather be stuck with effigy clash being bad than having more merged battle zones. But I'd like to think that there is ways that they can fix this without merging the battle zones again. So I just wanted to raise this because, like I say, a lot of people in my guild were, I suppose, a little bit annoyed that we kept matching the same faction. Also, the other issue that I mentioned about how essentially if you're someone who doesn't work, you're more likely to enjoy this mode because you can do it first thing when you log on. I mean, really, do you want to risk your job sneaking off to the toilet to do multiple attacks in a mobile game? Don't really think that's the best idea, do you? So, if they could rework the whole thing, change the bosses as well. We get the bosses too often. It'd be nice to see something different. But overall, I do think this mode needs a revamp. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. It's not a moaning video, it's just a suggestion video. Things that would, I suppose, reinvigorate things a little bit for the players in the game. But let me know what you think. Did you have the same issues? Did you keep constantly matching the same people? Or was it just a very large group of people that I seen that were matching the same factions all the time? Let me know in the comments down below. And let me know what you think about the suggestions. Did you add anything? I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.